it wasn't really meant to be this way, but it kind of almost fell into a story through the whole thing of me getting the night started with a little pick me up and ending the song by being sober and celebrating, but also realizing all the things that were a problem.
Rob Ruckus,
Nick Collins,
Kate Clover,
Keith Semple,
Isaiah Mitchell,
Billy Harvey,
Tim Howard. Check it out. Almost Famous Magazine.
Hey everyone, welcome back to The Hang right here from your friends at Almost Famous Magazine. I'm your host, Scott Saldinger. Thank you for hanging with us and getting to know musicians long after their stories and their music, getting to know them. If you're new to the channel, thank you for joining us. Please subscribe, ring the bell, you know what to do. If you've been here before and you haven't told your friends about us, what are you waiting for? We can use all the subscribers we can get. Also, if you prefer to take your podcast on the go, find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more. Today, we're hanging with Lightning Stills. It's an outlaw country project out of Omaha, led by longtime punk and hardcore lifer Craig Fort. I can't wait because you know how much we love punk on this podcast. Also, he's the frontman of Leaf Blower. He started this band while getting sober and becoming a dad. You can definitely hit on that too. Just about trying to stay alive, stay busy, and stay alive. What began as a survival music project morphed into a rhinestone cowboy alter ego stitched together from Waylon, Johnny Paycheck, and a deep punk self-awareness. Again, punk roots, love it. With songs that are equal parts rowdy, funny, and devastating. Outlaw country played like an underscore scene they accidentally started. The newest single, Close Down the Bar, came out in February. It's a perfect entry point to start discussing Craig's life. Sorry. And we're going to hit on everything from punk to country and in between. We're going to get to know Craig Fort today. So, Craig, welcome to The Hang.
Hello. Thanks
How
for
you
having
doing
me.
today?
I'm doing just
Absolutely.
fine.
Cool. Hey, we start these with your musical origin story. So, like, how did your relationship with music begin? Did you find music or did music find you? And tell me the story of how it got you to where you are today.
Music has always just spoke to me. Ever since I was a kid. When I remember driving around with my parents, and my dad would be like, "Who's this?" And I'd be like, "ZZ Top," and he'd be like, "No, Aerosmith," and I'd be like, "Oh, okay." And then pretty soon, now I've got this thing where every time a song comes on, I know exactly who it is immediately. So, but it kind of started out really young and just it moved me, and especially like I was in BMX and skateboarding, and so all the punk like songs and the videos, I kind of got into like Misfits that way, and Iron Maiden, and like Slayer, and so that was fun for growing up. Earlier on, we started doing DIY shows. I grew up in a small town, and we started doing DIY shows, printing our own shirts, making our own skateboards, just doing all kinds of DIY stuff at a very, very young age. And I started making skate videos, bike and skate videos of all of us, and I had a little RCA mixer that I would put music over the top of the grinding sound, and two VCRs, and so I got into it more through that. And as the years went on, I moved to Omaha after I got out of school, because I had been going up to a place called the Cog Factory in Omaha to see shows since I was like 14, and way too young. And when I got to Omaha, we ended up starting a DIY house called the Fort House. We, for probably about 5 years, maybe, had bands sometimes up to 5 nights a week. Just DIY punk bands, folk bands, metal bands, just anyone coming through looking for a place to play and couch to sleep on. And so I was given a guitar at a young age, but I was more into partying, and I kind of didn't really pick up the music right away. And then after I had done the house show thing for a while, I started singing for a punk band, like a hardcore punk band. And we did that for a little bit, and I still hadn't picked up an instrument. And then finally, my friends got me to pick up a bass, and we just started kind of almost like a prog rock group. And then that kept going, and then all of a sudden, I was in like 5 bands at one time. And I've just been kind of playing consistently in Omaha in the music scene here for like 15, 20 years now.
Cool. Let me ask you this question. That club you mentioned, I didn't quite get the name, that you were too young to go to. Was there a show that you saw there that just blew your mind? It was like the most impactful show you'd ever seen?
Um, every show that I went to there was like that because I was a really young kid. The place was called the Cog Factory, and it was in a shady part of town with shady stuff going on, and it was not a kept building. It was very dingy. It was a punk club, you know. It was a DIY punk club, and all the songs that I saw there blew my mind. Whether it was local bands or like I remember seeing 18 Visions and Walls of Jericho there. Walls of Jericho played on the floor. That was a really fun show. Poison the Well show was really fun there. It was like because that was around like the 99 around 2000 time was when I was going to those type of shows. But 2002 is when I moved to Omaha, and that's when we started Fort House. 2003 probably. And just had bands play there all the time, and it was a real good place to be.
No, I love a good house concert. I used to go to them in South Texas when I lived in the San Antonio area. So talk to me about like this transformation from like hardcore and punk to outlaw country. How did that come about?
When I was younger, my grandpa was in a country band, and he used to play at the VFW and American Legion and different fundraisers and stuff like that around town. And I always enjoyed watching him. And him and my dad got me on, Waylon and Willie, the Outlaws, Merle. Uh, and so and then growing up in the 90s, it was really hard to escape like the Brooks and Dunn and Garth Brooks and, Alan Jackson and all that stuff, as far as popular radio goes. So I had all of that kind of ingrained in my head, and I fought against it, trying to be metal, trying to be punk and trying to be tough. And then I just started giving back into it as I got older. And then when I got sober, I also went through a relationship split breakup. And so it was just kind of like, at first, it was kind of just like a joke in my head. I was just kind of, well, the obvious thing is to write a country album. And so when I was sobering up, I wrote a country song, and then I wrote another one, and then all of a sudden I had 6 of them, and I tapped my buddy Mike Friedman on the shoulder, and I said, "Hey, can you help me put some pedal steel and maybe a little bit of guidance on this?" And we were doing a trade system. Just he was helping me out, and it wasn't really. It was just a project at the time, And then all of a sudden, my buddy Javid came over, and he's like, he's like, "Let's play drums. Let's hear these songs." And he got me to kind of get over because the transformation from yelling into a microphone really loud and just aggressively beating your bass strings to trying to sing so people can understand what you're saying and everything um, was especially for a person who has anxiety like me, it was something that was very difficult for me to do. But Javid really pushed me a lot to get the music going. Mike helped me a lot to get the music out. And then once the music was out, then we were like, well, let's put together a band. And so we just got kind of a ragtag crew of, just a bunch of dirtbags, all of us retired drunks. And we got together and started playing. And it's just, it started out as Lightning Stills as the character, and it was Lightning Stills and the Midtown Ramblers. That's what we went as under our first show at Pet Fest in Omaha. But as we went on, I realized I was surrounded. Mike was helping me so much, and I was surrounded by so many other great musicians that were playing in the band. Tommy, Danny, Javid, and I realized that it wasn't my project anymore. It wasn't my alter ego anymore. It had become a band. We had all become, Lightning Stills, a project. And I really, really like it, prefer it more that way. It's it's just we're just a bunch of good timing fellas, and like I said, right now only one of us drinks, but the rest of us drink NA beers like we're still drinking regular beers. So our practices are always a trash can full of those.
I love it. I remember those days, the trash can in the rehearsal studio. Yeah, let me ask you this. You hit on something, and it fascinates me when this happens. When you started moving from your punk playing behaviors, your punk perspective on creating music, over to what you're doing now, what were a couple of the biggest kind of lessons you had to learn about musicality and then work at to get the music out the way you wanted it now?
One of the things, as well as far as live performances goes, is that I had to learn how to talk into the microphone because I always had Danny do that. I always just would yell parts and then he would do the in between song banter and everything like that. So that was a hard thing for me to get over, but also being up front and center and making myself vulnerable by putting out songs that I wrote. And it's I'm telling a story and I'm putting myself out there, and I'm right up front. So that was something before I could, just kind of hide in the back of the band and just put my head down and rock out and do whatever. But it's like all eyes on me up there telling my story. And so I had to get over a little bit of stage fright. Definitely. I'm more have always been a bass player, so I switched over to guitar for this, and I learned how to play guitar a little bit when I was younger, but I just learned church chords, and that's pretty much all I know how to do now. I just kind of fake it till I make it. I just got to feel my way through it. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I don't know anything about music composition, but it's it's really been fun taking those church chords or taking the power chords that I had from pop punk days of my youth and like using them now and like figuring out why they work that way. Like I still don't know the music theory that great, but I'm surrounded by enough musicians that are geniuses that do know what the hell they're doing, that I'm picking up on a couple things here and there.
So your community is helping you grow musically, it sounds like.
Absolutely. It has been since the very beginning.
That's great. So, the album came out in February. Kind of walk me through the album, some of the themes. Do you have, I mean, you've had some singles, but is there a point on the album, one song that means more to you than any? Kind of give everyone watching a flavor for the album.
Well, the song or the album, it wasn't really meant to be this way, but it kind of almost fell into a story through the whole thing of me getting the night started with a little pick me up and ending the song by being sober and celebrating, but also realizing all the things that were a problem. And in the middle, there's a lot of stuff about just self-reflection and one of the songs that I really like the most, it means a lot to me, I think, is My Mama Wants a Love Song. uh and that's a song that my mom actually called me and she said, hey, knock it off with all the drugs and the drinking, why don't you write your wife a nice love song. And when I was sitting there thinking about how awkward and uneasy that made me feel at that time to like put myself out there, I started thinking, well, hell, this is what I should be writing about. Like the trials of, like, trying to write a love song, but not being able to because you're so calloused, you know? And so that's what that song kind of goes through. It's just kind of the narrator trying to has a mom pleading with him to write something nice, but he's had such a long life of letdown and hurt and betrayal and everything like that that it's hard to open up. So that one's a really that one means a lot to me. Close Down the Bar is the one that closes down the album. And that one, I was at a George Jones kind of like tribute type thing. It was one night only, something for the possum. Um, and I was there with my wife, and we were watching it. And in between acts, like they had a bunch of different people doing possum songs, and in between acts, they were telling tales about his wife. And someone mentioned him closing down a bar, and in my head, I just kind of joked, "Oh, I close down the bar when I go drinking," you know. And then I was like, it was like a total Dewey Cox moment. I just like light bulb just flicked, and I was like, all these ideas started pouring into my head, and I'm still at the theater with my wife, and I wanted to keep watching the movie. It was great, but I was so like enthralled by this song and like how I was like clever I thought it was, and how I wanted to put to paper, and how many other lines I had coming out of it. And once I got home, that song took 5 minutes and it was done.
Wow. Wow. Hey, I'm curious. Is there going to be the song you mentioned before? Is there going to be a follow up maybe song that's titled "I Did What My Mama Told Me to Do"?
No, but I did what my mama told me to do. Of course, after I wrote that song, and then I played it for my wife, and I think it broke, or she said it broke her heart, but in a good way. She's like, that's is you're supposed to feel like that, and and so then I felt kind of guilty, and I sat down. I wrote her a nice love song, so that'll come out sometime.
Awesome. That's great.
It's that one. That one doesn't have music yet. I've just got the lyrics down.
Hey, one step at a time, right?
Got to start somewhere.
You got to start somewhere. What was the turning point for you? I mean, you've been through some really monumental changes in your life. What was the turning point that you decided, I'm going to get sober, I've got a kid on the way, and my life has to change?
Well, I when I had a kid on the way, I kind of half-assed got sober. I stopped drinking beer and started drinking NA beers, but I was still drinking whiskey. And then I kind of kept that under control for a little bit, and I stopped going to the bars. So I wasn't going out as much, at least, and not playing as I mean, I was still playing shows, so that was getting me out. But I ended up then having another boy, and when they were both very young, there was just a night when I drank a bunch, and then the next morning I woke up and I was thirsty, and I drank a bunch more, and then I passed out and woke up in a hospital and realized that my boys weren't going to have a dad if I kept doing this. So I checked myself into treatment. My dad was there at the hospital waiting for me when I woke up. Um, and yeah, we just sat in his truck in the parking lot and talked, and we were just like, yeah, something's got to change. So we went home, and I still had a half pint of whiskey in my jacket. So we went home, and told me to go sleep it off, and I slammed that half pint of whiskey and went to sleep and woke up and said goodbye to my boys and went off to treatment and came back 26 days later and uh, haven't had a drink since. And on February 19th, I celebrated 6 years.
Congratulations. That's fantastic. That's
Thank you very
fantastic.
much. So yeah, I just realized that they were more important, and I had put my time in. I I worked at a bar for 10 years. I drank heavily. I partied. I toured. I partied on tour heavily. Like I put my time in. I'm good.
Yeah, no, I think I applaud you for that. That's definitely not the easiest hill to climb in life. Now
It's
that
been
you've been through
difficult.
all of, oh, I can imagine. Now that you've been through all of that and the album is out, there's more music in you somewhere. Where's the inspiration coming for now? Has there been a change in your songwriting since that original batch of songs?
No, because before that album even was released, Mike and I already had other songs in the works. I had like 100 notes of lyrics in my phone. We've got no shortage of songs stacked up, so it's basically just getting together and getting them figured out and recorded and everything like that. But no, it definitely, I don't think anything has changed yet. Mike and I even went down to Nashville before the record came out and played at Dee's Lounge down there, and we played some songs off the record before it was out, and some songs that aren't even on the record and not even they're recorded, but they're not released or anything yet.
So there's more to come.
There,
This is not a
there,
one-off project.
there's still yeah, as of now there is stuff recorded that's not released, and my goal is to just keep stacking it and just keep giving it to Dan and saying put it out as he please.
Great, great. No, I like what I've heard so far, and I'm hoping for more. And I'm sure people who are watching today will once they get their ears to this, they're gonna be like, definitely, they're gonna be reeled in. I'm curious. Is there, we live lives of kind of, they like to say sliding doors, right? People come in and out of our lives all the time. And in relation to your musical career and your musical aspirations, has there been someone who came through your life who had the most impact on how you approach your view of how you make music? And what I mean by that is, did someone touch you in a way that they gave you a piece of advice, a piece of encouragement, and it's stuck with you under the hood, and you're taking it on the journey?
I don't think that there's one specific piece. My buddy Rody that was my best friend for the longest time. He passed away. He taught me a lot about gear and a lot about just being open minded about a lot of different things in music. And I would say my buddy D-Max, who plays in Leaf Blower and Lightning Stills with me, he has really been a huge support from the beginning. Him and I have been playing music together for about 15 years now, constantly in a band together. We were in a band called New Lungs, and then after that, after we split that one up, then we started Leaf Blower, and we've been doing Leaf Blower for the last 9 years. Dan and I definitely push each other, I think, and he has got me from hiding behind my amp, with my head down, trying to make sure I'm like looking at my fretboard, making sure I'm playing everything, to out in front, singing the songs and talking to people. I wouldn't be doing that if it wasn't for Dan. And also, I have to give a shout out to Mike, because Mike is just a musical genius, and he is his like views, like he brings the songs to life for me, and it's always exactly how I pictured it. I mean, not exactly how I pictured it, because he puts his own way on it, but it's always great. Like, I guess I always picture it being great, and it turns out great because of him.
Well, it's
So
exciting that you have those people. I mean,
yeah,
I think we don't get there alone, and having people like that who've helped us with steps along the way are people that we need to take along on the journey and appreciate.
mhm.
So
Yeah, no, me and D-Max, we, like I said, we've been playing together back and forth. And so that's kind of another thing. Like, he's the one that got me into, doing backup vocals at first. And then we started, kind of, getting like, good press about saying that we had good back and forth, call and response vocals, and we worked well together. And, he sang on Passed Out on the Bar, a single that we did during COVID. And he went as his alter ego, Junkyard Dan.
I like it. I like it. What are your thoughts on the challenges of being a musician these days? And what I mean by that is that it used to be, let's go back to before, let's say 2015, right? Where you'd put out your music and you had a few ways to reach an audience. And now it's this dearth of channels that you have to be promoting your music in, and some of them are fair, some of them are unfair. What are your feelings about just overall being a musician these days, and how the business is, so that you can have an opportunity to get ahead?
I think that it's very tough, especially for someone that's an up and comer, hasn't been in. It's it's pay to play, and if you don't have the loot, then you're kind of shit out of luck. Um, I mean, you have to pay to have a publicist. You have to pay to get your songs on the radio. You have to pay to get any algorithm. Like, I feel like when Facebook first started, or even like MySpace or whatever, we would promote shows on there, and people would see it, and people would come. And now it's like, I'm screaming at everyone, hey, check out this video I made, check out this new song we released, and I walk into work and I'm like, hey, boss, you see the video that I posted? You see the new song that I released? And he's like, I haven't seen shit from you in a year. It's just like, it's really hard to, get your music out there if you don't have the money to do it. And then once it's out there, I went on plenty of tours when I was in my 20s, but it was a lot easier to do back then. And it's crazy, because I was way more dirt poor. I'm pretty dirt poor right now, but I was way more dirt poor back then. But somehow I could get in a van and disappear for a month and make it back home all right. And I can't imagine what gas prices would be right now. Um, I definitely couldn't sleep on floors like I used to, sleep on couches, sleeping in the van, you know. It's like there's come with getting older and everything like that. I mean, gas is very expensive. You're gonna have to do lodging, and you know, you just hope that people are gonna come out. And so, I and as far as the making money from music goes, I've been playing music for 20 years and I've never made anything really from music. So I'm still waiting to figure out how to do that.
Well, I mean, you definitely have the passion and drive to keep at it without having made that money, and I admire that because it's easy to give up, right? It's really
It's
easy to just say enough is enough.
it's been it's there's been plenty of times where I've wanted to throw the towel in. You know, I get frustrated just like anyone else. Um, but it's at a point where you know, I'm at a job that I've been at for 11 years, and it's a job that I could stay at and retire at, and I'm union, and the benefits are incredible. The benefits cover my whole family, um, but it's not what I want to be doing. You know, I want to be writing songs. I have ideas for literature. I have ideas for like cinema, like short film type stuff. I have all kinds of ideas, and the problem is that I go to work and I think all day about the things that I want to do when I get home. And then it's a half hour drive home, and then I'm just spent, and it's been a long day. And a lot of those creative things that I had my juices going before, you know, like I'm going to go home and write this song, and I'm going to go home and figure out this riff, or I'm going to go home and edit this video. And, you know, then you get home and it's like, oh, I gotta make dinner and I gotta, you know, do this, take the kids somewhere, and you know, it's just it's hard to keep the the dream going when you're in the 9 to 5 still. But you know, it's definitely it's something I want, and I think that it's something that if I could achieve it, then it would be very beneficial for my family because we would all be in a nice, happy, comfortable place.
Yeah, I can hear where you're coming from. I mean, look, we got to do something to keep a roof over our head,
Right.
and that takes up a good 8 or so hours of the day. And then, do you have the energy for the rest of it? I mean, I've haven't touched an instrument in months. I spent 4 days just typing away and writing a book, and I haven't gone back to edit it. And like, where do you find the time to do this stuff, and what's going to bring you more joy in life? I totally understand where you're coming from, for sure. That kind of leads me to another question that I'm always interested in, how people deal with this. Is mental health in being an artist, right? Especially considering that you put your heart and your soul and your blood into whatever you create. And yeah, there'll be people who love it, there'll be people who hate it. In my lifetime, the stuff that I love people hate, and the stuff that I hate people love. I can never figure out the rhyme or reason of it. But we also live in a world of immediate feedback these days, and there's always going to be people out there who either hate on you, or they can't appreciate what you do, or you get down on yourself because it's not going where you want to. How do you work to keep yourself up and keep yourself in a good headspace through all of that?
Um, I have basically since I sobered up and started this project, I was walked on, especially when I was drinking, and I was, you know, that's why I was drinking. I was depressed and everything. So I let people walk on me a lot of my life, and then once I got sober, then I kind of just got this different attitude, and I don't know. I just kind of take things head on and just try and focus on my kids and my family and my close friends, and that's what's important. And we have band practice, and it's like we joke that it's like our poker night. It's like therapy, you know. We Leaf Blower gets together, and we I play through this 810 back here, and we just shake the whole house. And the four of us, you know, we've all got our struggles, and we're all family men, and you know, like we come over here and we just jam out for 2 or 3 hours and just blow off some steam, and we all leave with big smiles on our faces. And it's something that I notice if we miss too many band practices, then I start really needing that, because I have a problem where I will self-sabotage myself and not practice at home by myself. So I need some accountability and people making me show up at a place and saying, "Hey, let's get together and actually do some stuff."
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Because
I like that you
I can
have
get
that. I
myself
mean,
sidetracked real easy.
it is. It. You know, when we were all younger and we didn't have the internet, we didn't get so sidetracked. We'd read a book, or we'd go out and play, or we'd focus on something. And now, with all of the stuff in our lives, it's so much more of a challenge to prioritize and stay on track, and then have the support network around you, your band, other people, to keep you moving in the right direction, because there's too much noise, right?
Mhm.
And that overabundance of noise, I think, kills some of the joy. So it's good that you've got that, and I can appreciate that.
Yep, our text threads are definitely, you know, support groups as well.
I think that's great. I think that's great. One of the things that we like to do is bring some joy and happiness into people's lives, and I'm a big believer that until you put something out in the world and nobody knows about it, it's never going to happen. So
Can't
I
take it
always
out
like
unless you put it in.
exactly. So I'm a big believer that we all have. I mean, you don't necessarily look like you've got a vision board or anything, but you may have some hopes, dreams, and aspirations of working with someone someday that you've never had a chance to. If you could get into a studio with another musician or a producer for one day and be creative together, who would it be, and why them?
That's a really good question. That's a really hard question. Um, I There's probably a lot of different answers to it, but for some reason, the first person that came to my mind, and this is gonna sound wild, but Todd Rundgren.
Dude, I love me some Todd Rundgren. Tell me the story of why it would be him. I can't wait to hear this.
He's just, it seems like, well, I love, like, I'm a big fan of the stuff that he did in the 70s, his older stuff. And then he did Meatloaf's Bad Out of Hell, and it's just like that's a prime example right there. Like a lot of albums you look at and you're like, this is a fantastic album. Let me look at the credits. Oh, there's Todd Rundgren's name.
Oh, he's got
And
his
so
thumbprint on so much stuff.
I feel like he's all over the board too, you know. It's not just, you know, hello, it's me, like soft, like I don't know, like he does Bad Out of Hell is incredible. Like I think that's a really great album, and just I don't know, I think him and I getting together, we could get weird and come out with something real nice.
Well, you know what? You've put it out there in the world now. So anybody watching who's connected to Todd
I thought,
Rundgren, definitely you need to make something happen, make a dream come true. I think that would be incredible. I had a chance to photograph him at a show, I don't know, about five,
oh,
six
rad.
months ago. And oh my God, was it 5 or 6? I don't know. I can't remember what it was, but it was, I mean, just amazing to hear him. And one of the things that I think that makes him wonderful and great is that after all these years, right? I mean, the 70s were a minute ago. He can still find ways to make those songs throughout his catalog fresh and new, and they're beloved by fans. So if anybody's out there who knows Todd, whether you walk his dog, whether you cut the grass at his home in Hawaii, you go out and hang out with him, wherever you are, if you know Todd, let's make something happen for Craig for sure.
Well, there's something to be said about a multi-instrumentalist. Like, that's how Mike Friedman is with us. But Todd, I had always heard on his albums that he recorded all the tracks on them. So, that's pretty impressive right there.
All right. Well, you know what, people? Get this out there. Make it happen. It's important. We talked a little bit about the music business these days. It's so important that we support our artists. Music is not made for nothing, meaning it costs something. Not only the time that's invested by an artist, but their personal expense to make it for you. So we are huge believers that you purchase your music, you purchase merch, you purchase tickets to shows, and you show your support. So we're going to put the links down to every single place that somebody can buy your music. And we're going to put them down in the links below. So everybody go down there. With that said, we also like to learn, you and I are sitting here, I'm having a beer, you're having a near beer, and you're like, Scott, lately I've been jamming out to these two bands and I absolutely love them. You got to check them out. Who would they be and why?
It's been, there's not two. It's honestly been all over the board. As far as country, Johnny Paycheck and John Anderson, swinging, Wild and Blue, those have been heavy rotation lately. But as far as heavier stuff, I always go to Big Business, the Melvins, and Mets. Are just I have so much respect for the Big Business and the Melvins. I've had the pleasure of working with them and doing stage for them at some of their shows. I was the stage guy, carrying their shit in and out, and there's a couple times where we got to talk, and they just were always the nicest guys, and they're out there, they're doing it, they've been doing it, they're the kings, and Big Business is just I've been with them since the beginning. I've seen them play every time they come around here, and I just think that those guys, especially when they get together and do projects together, I was lucky enough to see them play live as a full band. But that's my kind of go-to heavier stuff. And Mets, the last Mets album was really good. A Boat to Drown In was a really good song. A single off that. I really liked that. And then I guess one more as far as country goes. Waylon Jennings just came out with a new record that his boy put out. It was a previously unreleased record called Songbird, which was a Fleetwood Mac cover. And that record is really great. So I highly recommend it.
Nice. I'll have to check those out. I'm kind of curious about one thing that we didn't talk about yet before we go. Given your swing from punk to outlaw country, is there any chance you may get back to punk and make some punk music?
I'm still making punk music with Leaf Blower. We just put out a record last year. It was our first full length. We've been a band for 9-10 years, but it was our first. We put out a 7-inch and a couple cassette tapes along the way. But our first full length, and it got really. The reception was really good for it. So we're in the middle of writing new songs for that as well. So it's Sundays I go and have my country jam session, and then Mondays we come in here and shake my house and wake the neighbors, and so yeah, I've got no. I'll just do whatever I feel like. Why not?
Well, hey everybody, you heard it here first. There's going to be a new Leaf Blowers album. So here's the deal,
Leaf
Craig.
Blower album, new Lightning Stills album. And probably some other weird shit.
All right. I definitely want to know about the weird shit at some point. Here's what we're going to do. For the next Leaf Blower album, you get the guys together, and we're all going to do this together when we talk about Leaf Blower. And then for the next Lightning Stills, we'll get the guys together. And as you talked about them, we'll get them to say some great things about you. I'm sure they have to have a few things they're thinking about you as well. So, especially if you pay them well. So, this has been a pleasure. Everybody, go out and get Lightning Stills. The link will be below. Check out Craig on his socials. Support your artists. Make their lives everything they want it to be, which is support for what their efforts are. Keep them going. Absolutely, everyone. Craig, this has been a joy. Glad I got to know you. And everyone who's watching us, please, as always, love yourself, show yourself a little grace, and then you'll go out and give it to others, because you never know how good that feels, and you get love back in return. So until we catch you on the next hang, thanks for joining. Craig, thanks for making time for me. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. This was really fun.
Awesome. I'll talk to everybody soon. Peace out.